I rented the photo booth till morning. I didn't rent the photo booth to take pictures. I rented it because the machine doesn't know how to lie about the moment it steals. The Riverlight Hotel keeps a photo booth in a corner of the lobby, near the freight elevator, and an arrangement of lilies that always looks tired by midnight. It's the real kind. Curtain, stool, four flashes that forgive nothing, strip sliding out with the arrogance of proof. If you put $50 in the change machine and don't get sentimental about pride, you can make it your witness for as long as the night wants you. At 12:14 a.m., my phone lit with the correctly phrased excuse I'd let myself get too good at accepting. Debrief ran long, team drink turned into karaoke, might crash at the office. Don't wait up. Hannah isn't a liar. She arranges truth to flatter daylight. The colleague I refuse to name in my head has sleeves shoved and a tote with gaffer and a posture you mistake for permission when your neck is bored. I had nearly texted him last week, "Let's not be this version of men," and then I ran the text through the shredder called Sense. Tonight I brought quarters. I fed the booth and pulled the curtain and stared at my own animal face. The first strip was four versions of a man who had forgotten what his mouth did before it learned apology. On the second strip, I closed my eyes for frame 3 and looked directly at the lens for frame 4, because if the night wanted me to be brave, it needed to adjust its expectations. I set the strips on the small shelf inside the booth like bait. It took 30 minutes for the elevator to learn the name it was waiting on. Hannah stepped into the lobby with a paper crown slightly wrong in her hair, and the thoughtful mouth she wears when she's deciding what she's about to regret. Behind her, the ops lead, Marco, did the decent thing of pausing so she could arrive under her own steam. He saw me first. People who carry other people's weight after midnight get a sixth sense for the person they owe the most graceful version of themselves to. "Scott," he said, small nod, palms visible. "Hannah," I said. "Whose idea was the crown?" I asked, because sometimes you need to let the lobby remember it's funny. "Someone with a microphone," she said. "We won't speak of it." Marco put his tote by the lilies and looked at me like we were about to decide whether the country we both lived in needed a border. "Do I need to leave?" he asked. "I need you to be exactly there," I said, pointing at a bench under a painting that had never once earned its frame. One respectful step back from the machine that steals moments. He obeyed like men do, when they intend to be allowed back into the story. "Come," I told Hannah, and swept the curtain. She followed with a breath I didn't want to become poetry. Inside the booth, the air has a sweetness that lives between metal and shampoo. I sat. She sat on the stool and turned her face toward mine, and for a heartbeat we were 25 with bad rent and good excuses. The flash read our mouths, made its choice, fired. "Did you kiss him?" I asked, staring not at her eyes but at the lens that would not do us the mercy of forgetting. "In an elevator," she said, "2 weeks ago between floors and advice. It was stupid and quick and tasted like mint and laughter I didn't earn." He stepped back. He said my name like a lock. I hated him for making me proud of him. The second flash arrived like a verdict. We weren't ready. Our faces are forever a lesson in not timing speeches with machines. "I wanted to hit him," I said. "I wanted you to come get me," she said. "Not to rescue me, to make me interesting in a room I didn't write." Frame 3, we didn't perform, we breathed. "Invite me," I said. "When you're interesting, not just when you're frightened you'll be easier to love in other lighting." "I am inviting you," she said. I kissed her. The camera fired. The strip slid a fraction. We remembered how to aim. The kiss wasn't apology. It was jurisdiction. I put my hand at the back of her neck and pressed my thumb into the notches where a body stores proof. She exhaled a sound that does not live in daylight. My other hand slid along her side until the band of her dress interrupted me, and I stopped because rooms have neighbors and marriages have rules. Frame 4 has the gentlest version of my restraint on record. We sat breathing while the strip finished its procession into the world. It's hard to fight under a light this mean. I handed her the strip. She looked and laughed a horrible, beautiful laugh that belongs only to married people at 1 a.m. in lobbies that know too much. "Do you still want to hit him?" she asked. "I want to thank him for stepping back," I said. "I want to owe him nothing else." "I can tithe to that church," she said. We took another strip because mercy deserves documentation. In frame 1 we looked like citizens. In frame 2, brave. Frame 3, I kissed the line of her jaw, and the machine forgave me for forgetting my audience. Frame 4, she leaned her forehead into mine and smiled like a man had just remembered his mouth existed for other reasons than apologizing for the past. "Give me the crown," I said. She took it off and put it on my head like a contract. Marco, from the bench, didn't let his face get involved. He stared at the lilies as if they needed his permission to die slowly. I pulled the curtain and we stepped back into the lobby's indifferent air. "Van in 10, Marco said to Hannah. To me, "If you need me to take a lap around the block so gravity finds its chill, I can do that." "You can go," I said. "Thank you for the respectful step." He stood, shouldered the tote as if it weighed as much as other people's decisions, and left with the slow speed of a good man avoiding theater. The elevator doors closed. The lobby forgave us nothing. We took the elevator to our floor and kissed in the hallway the way people do when they remember they live in a building with neighbors and still feel lucky. In the room, we kept our clothes the way people do when they intend not to become folklore. We made heat that didn't require an audience. We lay on the carpet and named 5 things we would not use as excuses anymore, and then got up and did not write them down. We slept when the clock pretended to be mean. At 9, we met the team at the center where competence is rinsed and stacked. Marco was there coiling cables in a cadence the day could keep time to. He saw me and nodded exactly once. I nodded precisely the same. Hannah moved through the room with a clipboard and a mouth volunteers believed without resenting. When she passed me, she touched my wrist with 2 fingers, daylight legal, and the morning minded itself. We didn't tell anyone about the booth. We taped 1 strip to the side of the fridge under a magnet shaped like a small boat we bought one summer we didn't ruin. The strip where she's laughing and I look like a man who remembered he's a body and not a calendar. Sometimes, when the house tries to audition for courtroom, we feed quarters to the machine by the grocery store and give the city more proof than it wants. Sometimes she texts come and means stand beside me while I hold a room steady. Sometimes I text come and mean watch me be interesting without a slide deck. Sometimes we sit in lobbies and practice, not needing witnesses. We didn't stop admiring other people's competence. We did stop confusing it with permission. Heat is a temperature, not a vote. We eat before we try to win. We sleep when the clock loses its manners. We put our hands on each other in daylight as if the sun issues licenses. And when the city asks whether we have anything to add, we hand it a strip of 4 moments that don't lie and say, "This is the rumor we can live with. This is what our mouths are for. This is the light we chose to make honest."